from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
A very good evening and welcome to the National News Broadcast. I am Malsha Dharmavardhana.
I am Charita Minipurarachi, and let's move on to the headlines for tonight's news. Dengue outbreak to reach a high-risk level. Nation salutes the war heroes who sacrificed their lives for the motherland. Benefit of the strengthening of the rupee against the dollar will be directed to the public. President says that the program to move the country towards a digital economy will be accelerated. 7.7 magnitude earthquake shakes the Pacific Ocean region. On to those and other stories in detail now, and starting off with the top local story. The National Dengue Prevention Unit says the present dengue outbreak could become worsened.
The unit has indicated that new methodology has been initiated to review the dengue prevention programs by adhering to appropriate mechanisms to control the spread. The Dengue Prevention Unit made these remarks during a program at the Government Information Department today. Director of the National Dengue Prevention Unit, Consultant Dr. Nalin Aryaratna said that the prevailing situation could become worsened if the number of patients increase with the rainfall in future. He urged all to clean their workplaces on Friday mornings in order to curb any outbreak in future. Now, the National War Heroes Commemoration ceremony took place today under the patronage of the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Ranil Wickremesinghe.
The ceremony was held at the Battaramulla War Heroes Memorial. This year marks the 14th anniversary of the victory over LTTE terrorism that lasted for 3 decades. The commemoration ceremony was organized by the Rani Viruseva Authority and the Ministry of Defence. A total of 23,600 Sri Lankan Army personnel, 1,140 Sri Lanka Navy personnel and 426 Sri Lanka Air Force personnel sacrificed their lives for the freedom of the motherland. Also, 2,598 police personnel and 554 civil security department personnel were killed during the humanitarian operations. A 2-minute silence was observed by the President, the Prime Minister and others in honour of the fallen war heroes.
Sri Lanka Mata, Apa Sri Lanka, Namo, 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 Namo Mata.
The ceremony was a proud expression of the nation's gratitude towards these brave individuals. The ceremony observances began with the playing of the national anthem and with religious observances. A special war drumming performance was also conducted, paying tribute to the courageous soldiers who sacrificed their lives to protect the country's sovereignty and territorial integrity. President Ranil Wickremesinghe was the first to pay floral tributes to the War Heroes Memorial, followed by the Prime Minister, the Speaker and the Opposition Leader. Field Marshal Sharath Fonseka, Admiral of the Fleet Wasantha Karunagoda, Marshal of the Air Force Roshan Gunatilaka, former commanders of the 3 armed forces, war heroes and members of war heroes' families all paid their respects to the fallen soldiers by laying flowers at the War Heroes Memorial.
රටට ණය නැති රටම ණය ගෙතිලක් මවගේ දරුවෝ ඔබ අප හැමෝගෙම විරුවෝ ඔබ අප හැමෝගෙම විරුවෝ.
The government vehemently rejects the statements issued by the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau containing outrageous claims of genocide relating to the past conflict in Sri Lanka. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs in a statement has indicated that such irresponsible and polarizing pronouncements by the leader of nations breed disharmony and hatred both in Canada and Sri Lanka instead of promoting peace and reconciliation.
A statement issued by the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau over the war-ending day of Sri Lanka has been posted on the Office Prime Minister's official website. In his statement, the Canadian Prime Minister has recognized the day as Tamil Genocide Remembrance. In the ministry statement, Sri Lanka has urged Canada and its leaders to refrain from making pronouncements from Canada which promote hatred, misinformation and extremist views, and to cease its unhelpful focus on Sri Lanka based on distorted facts. In the statement, Sri Lanka has vehemently rejected the unsustained narrative of genocide which has been deliberately constructed by politically motivated anti-Sri Lankan elements whose so-called recognizing in Canada depends on spreading misinformation and a false narrative of hatred. The statement has indicated that both Sri Lanka and Canada are committed to common democratic values, institutions and traditions, and to promote of peace and prosperity to improve the lives of fellow citizens. According to the statement, Sri Lanka wishes to engage with Canada, a long-standing bilateral and developed partner, in this spirit of mutual respect, and calls on Canada to ensure that its pronouncements are not determinantal to Sri Lanka's overridden national interest of ensuring the prosperity of the people and future generations.
State Minister Ranjit Siambalapati says that the rupee has strengthened. The State Minister pointed out that dollar earnings from various sectors and import limits have contributed to the rupee strengthening. State Minister Ranjit Siambalapati said that the government has set its limits on the overall imports. Accordingly, he added that the dollar earnings as well as the expenses are being closely monitored. He added that these factors have contributed to the strengthening of the rupee against the dollar. He further said that the benefits from the rupee strengthening will be directed to the public.
Minister Mahinda Amaraveera says next year will be an election-filled year. The minister made these remarks while speaking at an event held in Anganukala Palasa yesterday. The ceremony towards the Anganupala Palasa Dahamuna water supply project with the public was held yesterday with the participation of Minister Mahinda Amaraveera. More than 100 families will be benefited through this project. Minister Mahinda Amaraveera said that the presidential election will be held next year, according to the reports. He further said that the parliament had the power to function until next year. Therefore, he said that the general election will also be held next year. He added that the local government polls as well as provincial council election will too be held subsequently. He said that the invention of the government is to provide the public with necessary resources and facilities for the livelihoods at the crisis situation and not to spend millions on elections.
And meanwhile, a consignment of pipes belonging to the Asopini water supply project has caught on fire. The water supply project was scheduled to be declared open tomorrow. Reports have indicated that the pipes which were stored at the Usapitiya public grounds in Arunayaka had caught fire this evening. The fire unit of the Bavanala Pradesh Sabha and the police together with the residents of the area had doused the fire. The police alleged that the pipes were set on fire by an individual or a group. The water supply project, built under the financial assistance from the Netherlands, expected to provide water for 65,000 families. The project was constructed at a cost of 27,000 million rupees. DIG Roshan Rajapaksha said that the investigations have been launched into the incident. Large crowds are arriving to pay their last respect to the late Chief Prelate of Sri Lanka, Amarupuramahanikkaya, Most Venerable Dodampahala Chandrasiri Thera. The funeral ceremony of the late Mahanayaka Thera will be held with full state honours at the Independence Square in Colombo on the 21st.
The remains of the late Mahanayaka Thera are kept at the Sri Thappovana Sangha headquarters in Kalapaluvava. The late Mahasangha is renowned for his utmost commitment in rendering an immense service for the benefit of the Buddha Sasana and nation. Mahasangha have said that the demise of the late Mahanayaka Thera had left a void in the era as an excellent in preaching Dhamma and sharing practical sides over the priesthood with the young Bhikkhu generation.
Sri Lanka China Tea Cultural Exhibition is underway at the China Cultural Centre in Colombo 7. The 3-day exhibition will be open from 10 am to 7 pm. The exhibition was declared open yesterday with the participation of Minister Vidura Vikramanayake and Head of the Cultural Unit of the Chinese Embassy in Sri Lanka, Jung Ing-Bao. This is considered as a unique opportunity to experience the tea-related culture in both the nations. The attendees will be able to experience Chinese tea ceremonies, etiquettes and traditions as well as unique tastes of Sri Lankan tea varieties. The exhibition is hosted by the Chinese Ministry of Tourism and Culture and Chinese Embassy in Sri Lanka. The exhibition will remain open tomorrow as well.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe says that authorities have been directed to submit a report on the acceleration of the program to move the country towards a digital economy within a month.
The President made these remarks yesterday while addressing the inauguration of the DARA's headquarters. The President also joined an observation tour of the DARA's headquarters and engaged in a discussion with its boards of directors. The President said that the growth of DARA's in Sri Lanka shows Sri Lanka's potential for e-commerce, thanks to Alibaba company for starting DARA's in Sri Lanka.
I must confess that I have followed DARA's on and off on the social media. But many of the other items certainly are ones that many of the Sri Lankans, especially the young people, would certainly order and make use of. But your presence here and the growth of DARA's in Sri Lanka shows that Sri Lanka's potential for e-commerce, and you all have showed the way. So Alibaba has to be thanked for the work, for coming in here and for starting DARA's Sri Lanka. You all must be commended for expanding it so fast. Without you all, it's not possible. Now this is the real e-commerce age. All those who are going to. We started e-commerce in this country. It's been slow in picking up. Actually today morning, the State Minister and I and the Secretary together with some of our other officials were discussing how do we start and accelerate this process of digitalization and make way then for a digital economy. So we decided, I said give me a report in a month's time and we'll go ahead. We put everything we have for digitalization. I didn't think that there was any need to reinvent the wheel. What takes place in South India, in Tamil Nadu, would be more than convenient for us. We can use it here. So let's speak with India to see whether we can get the help from Tamil Nadu and use the Tamil Nadu system into Sri Lanka. Let us press ahead and accelerate the digitalization in Sri Lanka. In fact, we are discussing whether it's necessary to bring some legislation which will lay down the format but also put the responsibility on different government organizations and other selected private organizations. We benchmark it and ensure that they hit the benchmark. If not, in the case of government, we may even have to impose some penalties by law. Ramesh was first discussed when I was the Prime Minister in 1993. We are still discussing it in 2023. So you can just imagine how long it has taken us to get this going. I want it and the Parliament wants it moving before end of the year. Then from there let us move on to the digital economy. The faster we get, the better it is. we want to run parallel, one the digital economy, other the green economy. We put this together and go ahead. They say that the green economy business in Asia is worth $5 trillion. Now we don't want 5 trillion. If we can even settle at a few billion, that's more than enough. So this is what we have. Let us now go ahead and go in for the complete digital age. Let's not hold back. So I hope we will also come up with packages from next year onwards to help you all.
Speaker Mahindra Abeyewardena, ministers, parliamentarians and the Dara staff were present at this occasion.
Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena inaugurated the 10th edition of Sancharak Udava 2023 today. The event is considered as Sri Lanka's largest travel and tourism fair. The fair is underway at the Sirimavu Bandaranayake Memorial Exposition Centre at the BMICH in Colombo. The event is organised by the Sri Lanka Association of Inbound Tour Operators. Sancharak Udava is a platform for mega operators in the hospitality industry as well as for small and medium-scale service providers in the industry to network and build links with tour operators and enter the world spectrum of the tourism industry. The two-day fair will provide an opportunity for those less exposed entrepreneurs in the tourism industry to meet with all stakeholders in mainstream tourism.
Minister Ali Sabri recently concluded his visit to Sweden following multiple engagements with the Swedish government, European Union countries as well as the Swedish business community. Minister Sabri was in Stockholm leading Sri Lanka's delegation to the EU Indo-Pacific Ministerial Forum. Sweden currently holds the presidency of the European Union. At the invitation of the Swedish presidency, Sri Lanka's foreign minister co-moderated the Round Table 1 of the Swedish foreign minister, which thematically focuses on building more sustainable and inclusive growth. The closed-door roundtables form the key dialogue format at the Ministerial Forum. The gathering of EU and Indo-Pacific countries in Stockholm afforded the opportunity for the Sri Lankan Foreign Minister to engage bilaterally with the several counterparts attending this session. He thanked the Paris Club countries for the strong support to the extended fund facility process with the IMF. Sri Lanka and Luxembourg signed the Memorandum of Understanding between Sri Lanka and Luxembourg on bilateral consultations. IORS Secretary General Salman Al-Farsi also met the minister in briefing him on the work program and transition process towards Sri Lanka's chairmanship of the group in October this year. At separate bilateral discussions with the Swedish Speaker of the Riksdag, Andreas Norlin, it was agreed to invigorate cooperation between the legislatures. Similarly, with Swedish Foreign Minister Tobias Billström, it was agreed to bolster the 74-year-old engagement with Sweden.
Sri Lanka's High Commissioner to India, Milinda Moragoda, met India's Minister of Power and New Renewable Energy, Shri Raj Kumar Singh, in New Delhi yesterday. Discussions were held on ways and means of further enhancing cooperation with India in the power and renewable energy sector. The Indian Minister and the Sri Lankan High Commissioner have discussed a range of issues pertaining to bilateral cooperation in the power and renewable energy sector, including the grid connectivity between Sri Lanka and India. The discussion has particularly focused on the ways and means to deepen and broaden the long-standing strategic cooperation in the sector. High Commissioner Moragoda also presented to the minister a stone obtained from the stream flowing beside the Sita Amman temple in Sitaeliya in Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka and Uttar Pradesh of India resolved to further strengthen the cooperation in the fields of tourism, culture, religion and people-to-people contacts. The consensus was reached with the Sri Lankan High Commissioner to India, Milinda Moragoda, met with the Chief Minister of State Sri Yogi Adityanath in Lucknow recently. The Chief Minister extended a warm welcome to High Commissioner Moragoda and his delegation. The discussion that followed centered around the ancient and strong cultural and religious affinities between Uttar Pradesh and Sri Lanka and the ways to further strengthen them through the tourism as well as religious and cultural exchanges. Symbolizing the close relations between Buddhism and Hinduism as well as Uttar Pradesh and Sri Lanka, High Commissioner Moragoda proposed to plant a bow sapling from Romasala in Ayodhya, which is believed to be the birthplace of Lord Rama. Two large photographs of Sri Lankan origin were presented to the Chief Minister, marking the 75th anniversary of the establishment of Indo-Lanka diplomatic relations. The High Commissioner Moragada also presented a religiously significant memento, to which the Chief Minister thanked the High Commissioner. Another case has been filed before the Commercial High Court seeking to issue an order to secure the $6 million compensation from the relevant shipping companies over the Express Pearl ship incident. The petition was filed by 4 parties, including the Vana Aruna Foundation. The petition has indicated that the shipping companies are liable to pay the compensation for the damages and those who were affected from the environmental hazard which caused from the incident. Moving on to more local stories, all preparations have been made to host the first ever Miss World Tourism Pageant in Sri Lanka. The aim of this event is to promote the tourism industry. A media conference was held to brief regarding the pageant recently at the Tourism Board Auditorium in Colombo. The pageant will be held in several attractive sites in the country from July 20th to 30th. Participants from over 40 countries, including Sri Lanka, set to take part in the pageant. The grand finale of the pageant will be held at the Nelumpokona Theatre in Colombo. The official symbol and the website of Miss World Tourism Pageant was unveiled during the media conference.
Sri Lankan nationals living in Bangladesh organized the New Year festival today. The annual New Year festival organized by the Bangladesh Sri Lanka Association was held in Dhaka today. The event was held at the Dhaka International School grounds. That's it on local news. Foreign news coming up next.
Dengue, 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 dengue.
சரியாக நாளாந்தம் நாம் அனைவரும் டெங்கு ஒழிப்பிற்காக சுகாதார அமைச்சின் தகவல்.
Welcome back. Taking a look at your foreign news. Tsunami warnings have been lifted following a magnitude 7.7 earthquake that struck beneath the Pacific Ocean southeast of New Caledonia.
Alerts were issued for countries across the Pacific for the threat of tsunamis after a major quake was detected at the depth of 37 kilometers. The Pacific Tsunami Warning Center said that waves less than half a meter were measured off Lankan, which is a port town in the island nation. Smaller waves were measured elsewhere off Vanuatu and off the Caledonia. Vanuatu's National Disaster Management Office advised people to take appropriate action and precautionary measures, including immediate evacuation from the coastal areas to higher grounds. New Caledonia, where the police had evacuated the coast and tsunami sirens were activated, also lifted its alert later in the day. Australia's Bureau of Meteorology said that there was no tsunami threat to mainland Australia, but Lord Howe Island, located 780 kilometers northeast of Sydney in the Stormont Sea, was under a threat of warning.
World leaders unveil tough new sanctions on Russia as they prepare to hear in person later this weekend from Vladimir Zelensky. The Ukrainian president is planning a dramatic trip to Japan as he continues to appeal for military assistance amid Russian invasion. Leaders from the group of 7 nations met in Japanese city of Hiroshima recently in terms of Ukraine-Russian war. New sanctions are expected to plunge loopholes and seize after untrapped industries as Western leaders continue to work towards choking off Moscow's war financing. Officials said that the new sanctions would increase the cost of Russia and those who are supporting its war effort and build on efforts to ensure that Russia is no longer able to weaponize the availability of energy.
Moving to China, over foreign stories, China says it has become the world's biggest exporter of cars after overtaking Japan in the first 3 months of the year. Officials figures released in the last week, China exported 1.07 million vehicles in the period, up to 58% compared to the first quarter of 2022. At the same time, Japan's vehicle exports stood at 954,185 after ending up 6% from a year earlier. China's exports were boosted by demand for electric cars and sales to Russia. Last year, China overtook Germany to become the world's second largest car exporter. It was reported that China has exported 3.2 million vehicles in 2022 compared to Germany's 2.6 million vehicle exports. The shift away from fossil fuels had helped fuel the rise of China's motor industry. China has also seen exports to Russia surge since the start of the Ukraine war as Western countries imposed trade sanctions on Moscow.
Welcome back. Taking a look at your sports news. Minister Roshan Ranasinghe says necessary measures will be taken to remove the ban imposed on football and rugby. He pointed out that all sports in the country have collapsed due to the irregular activities of the related associations.
Minister Roshan Ranasinghe said that he has the responsibility to revive these sports, even though none of the international organizations are extending support to improve sports in Sri Lanka. He said that the international organizations extend their support to organize international competitions and to protect laws. However, the responsibility to develop the sports is vested with the associations, and the minister is vested with the responsibility to regulate, he added. The minister said that the discussions are underway with the World Rugby Federation, Asia Rugby Federation and the FIFA regarding the imposed bans. He further said that a case has been filed in the courts in this regard. Accordingly, he said that necessary measures will be taken to remove the ban imposed on football and rugby sports.
රටපාවා දීලා වැරදි මත කියලා ජාත්‍යන්තර තහනමකට ලං කළා ඒ හරහා සතුටු වෙනවා නම් ඒ පිළිබඳව ශ්‍රී ලංකාව සාකච්ඡා කරගෙන යනවා. ඒ වගේම අධිකරණයේ මේ කාර්ය සම්බන්ධයෙන් මේ වෙනකොට නඩුවකුත් ගොනු කරලා තිනවා. ඒ අනුව ඉදිරි කටයුතු සිද්ධ වෙනවා අධිකරණ තීන්දුව අනුව. කොහොම වුණත් පාපන්දු තහනමත් රග්බි තහනමත් ඉතා ඉක්මනින් අවසන් කරගන්න කටයුතු කරනවා.
The badminton games of the 47th national games were commenced at the Colombo badminton headquarters this morning. 130 badminton players representing all 9 provinces are taking part in the tournament. The finals will be held on the coming Sunday.
With that, we conclude tonight's news on Rupavahini. Join us tomorrow at the very same time. Good night.
Have a pleasant night.